Sector crisis seems to be deepening by the day as some local banks are under massive pressure to refund monies and investments to their customers on a daily basis. GN Bank has had to pay out over 200 million cedis in the last few weeks to depositors. They're not alone in this wave of panic withdrawals to have hit a number of the country's indigenous banks. Now, while some financial analysts accuse Bank of Ghana of not managing the situation well, leading to the panic withdrawals, President Akufo-Addo thinks the intervention by the central bank was necessary, and he says it was to save the deposits of over 1 million customers and prevent a banking crisis. So, exactly what is accounting for the panic withdrawals? How bad is it for Ghana's economy? Should we expect more of the panic withdrawals? What role does the Bank of Ghana play in all of this? Tonight on PM Express, we are delving deep into the recent panic withdrawals and we are finding solutions to these problems. I have some fine two gentlemen who will be discussing PM Express tonight. One of them in the studio, the other one will join via Skype. I'll introduce them after the break. On PM Express tonight, Samuel Ampah, Head of Research at Group Indum, is my guest in the studio. Good evening to you. Very refreshing to see you.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
And later on Skype, we would also be joined by Dr. Lord Mensah, who is Senior Lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. They will be doing justice to all the questions boggling our minds. Let me start from what has happened today. And today we've seen the head of Group Indum going out to meet clients himself and to assure them and reassure them that, listen, you don't need to withdraw or your monies from the bank because the bank is the safest place you can keep your money. I think we should listen to Dr. Indum to set the pace for this discussion.
At GN Bank, I'll say over the past few weeks, we've seen more than 200 million Ghana cedis withdrawn. Okay, when prior to that, our deposits were going up. And we had just completed our expansion program. So the deposits were going up. So it is not just the 200 million that we have lost. It is all the other ones, opportunity costs that we could have had that we now don't have. For the past 3 weeks, 4 weeks, I can't sleep, okay? And because I just can't imagine that somebody urgently needs money. I cast my mind back to my own hometown, Elmina. I know how the poor fishermen are. But if somebody needs, 50 Ghana cedis, and they will go to my bank and be told that we don't have 50 Ghana cedis to give you, okay? Because some people have rushed to come and take the monies away who don't need it.
So you just heard Dr. Pakwesi Indum, who is head of Group Indum and former presidential candidate for 2016 elections. So, Ms. Ampah, exactly what is accounting for this panic withdrawal? Is it the banking reforms? I'm talking about the collapse of the 5 banks, or is it the men's gold saga? Is it, the minimum capital requirements? What exactly is accounting for this crisis?
Well, I think that, there's a history behind all that. If you look at what happened in 2015, where the central bank had to do the asset quality review of banks and realizing that most banks really were not in a very strong position. Okay, so some decisions or the central bank needed to take an action on what to do because the NPL levels of the banks were quite high. And you know what NPL does to banks is not exciting, okay? So something needed to be done. So, of course, it started off with the what happened with the first 2 banks, that had to be, the license needed to be revoked, and then they had to face liquidation, and they were taken off the system. And then after the 5 banks, it came to, after the 2 banks, it came to these 5 banks where they also had to go through some exercise by the central bank and they were merged. Okay, so it cost a lot of, I mean, the way it happened, let's say that people were not too sure what has happened within the banking sector. And some announcements also being made by the people from the central bank also, you know, put some sort of, let's say, anxiety in the minds of people, really what is happening within the banking sector of this country. So it caused a lot. And you should understand that we have precedents, you know, incidents that have happened before that people, and let's say, when I say people, depositors have lost a lot of money within the financial sector. I mean, you recall that of the Pirams in the past, and then the God is Love or whatever, and then the DKMs and all that. So, and most of the people did not recover their monies from these financial institutions. So an action like that could easily spark that low level of confidence within the banking sector. All right. So people were agitated, people were scared, you know, and some statements thereafter also could not settle well in people's mind. So it created some level of panic, could you say a lot of panic and some insecurity, okay, amongst Ghanaians, customers. And therefore, it, you know, the best option for them was to say, well, let me go take my money because others saved, they couldn't get their money. I do not want a thing like that happen to me. So that's really how it all started. Because hitherto, when these 2 banks were in operation, we didn't have anything like that. And then the 5 banks came, the issue came, and then everybody started wondering. Because
if you listen to Dr. Indom, he talked about how you were having higher people coming to deposits, and all of a sudden.
If you look at the case of GM Bank, which in the case of what Dr. Indom said, GM Bank currently has about 300 locations, and it took a period of time to get to this 300 locations. So this is the year that GM Bank was hoping to really make some good, you know, make some impact, in the markets where nobody was willing to go there and set up a bank, you know, because GM Bank has made very significant inroads within some communities where, I mean, let me tell you a story about what I personally witnessed, where you know, when GM Bank appeared at a village in the northern part of Ghana. This is an old man whose children are all abroad, you know, they outside the country. And they remit the man, and this man has to travel several kilometers to another bank to go get the money. The money sometimes comes at maybe $100, which could be at that time maybe around 300, 400 Ghana cedis. But he transports himself at a cost of about 50 cedis. So with GM Bank coming to that community, it saves him that 50 cedis, that transportation. So this is what it meant to the people and to the community that GM Bank has sent a banking service to them. All right. So with all this, it affects the people, and therefore, with Dr. Indom is saying that really this is what we intend. I mean, this is the whole objective. This is the mission. This is the vision, to bring banking to the doorsteps of the people of Ghana, and then we want to take it away. I mean, that's a difficulty.
And of course, you could sense the passion with which he was speaking. That it's not just people withdrawing their monies, but we're also doing opportunity cost to look at where we should have been and because of this situation, we are not getting there. So he's looking at all of that. But we know Bank of Ghana is the regulator. And since this whole thing started, I've seen one or two statements coming from the Bank of Ghana. Now, there are those who think that the Bank of Ghana hasn't really done much to assure people and the reason why we find ourselves here. Do you think that Bank of Ghana hasn't shown enough commitment to, ensuring the public of security?
Well, let me start off by saying that a similar situation happened in the country of, I think, Zambia or Gambia. The Minister of Finance had to come out, to talk to the people of that country that, look, nothing is happening. Everybody calm down, okay? The economy is doing well. The banking sector, there were some reforms, it stopped, okay? We are doing well. Everybody calm down. There are two things. Yes, some believe that the intervention or a statement from the central bank will calm the nerves of the people of Ghana.
Exactly.
Because, yes, they are the regulators of the banking industry. Okay, we have several regulators. The Security and Exchange, the pensions regulators are there, the insurance regulators are there. But in the case of the banks, it is the Bank of Ghana. Okay, so some believe that, yes, if the central bank could come out at that time to say, look, there are some banks that are not doing really what they are supposed to do, and therefore we need to, revoke their license. And then there are some banks that we also need to merge them, consolidate their, their operations. It also behoves on them to come out and say, with all these whole, panic and fear and all that.
Here and there.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't hurt so much for the central bank to come in and say, look, people of Ghana, yes, we are going through a reform, reviewing, doing a whole lot of cleanup within the banking sector, but this is the stage we've gotten to, and therefore we think that everything is okay now. Everybody put your money in the banking sector because we need, look, for every economy to thrive, you need a very vibrant banking sector. It's non-negotiable. It's non-negotiable. Okay, in a case where we have currently, let me go back to say that, recall the president before his statement. I think I saw a statement today. About a week ago, or a week or two ago, he came out to state that yes, this country is going through some challenges. Okay, there's economy.
That
yes,
the economy, we're in hard times.
In hard times. Okay, and then assure the people that, look, we are doing everything possible
to reverse.
That is leadership. He showed leadership. Acknowledge the fact that indeed there are hard times. However, they are making sure that policies put in place, okay, are implemented to ease people of the pressure.
Okay.
I think it'd be far-fetched, okay, if the central bank could come back and say that yes, we have done some, we really needed to clean the system. We have cleaned the system, and we believe that whatever whatever is happening is out of the result. But however, people should come down and then expect that the banking sector will be quite vibrant. Of course, you know that we are also looking forward to the 400 minimum capital requirement target by the end of the year. So you can say something towards that, so that people can have confidence in the banking sector. So I strongly believe that indeed the central bank also has a role to play, to calm down and ease the tension which is crippling, within the banking sector.
I think you just added on to the point that is being made by most of the economic analysts I've spoken with, but I've been joined by Dr. Lord Mensah, who is a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. Good evening to you, Doc. Welcome to PM Express.
Hello?
Yes, Doc. We're grateful for your time on PM Express.
Yes, good evening. Good evening.
Right. So we're discussing panic withdrawals, and of course, when this banking crisis came, there were a lot of comments from the financial sector, the economic sector. All of you were actually looking at what might have happened and how we could resolve the situation. Did you foresee these panic withdrawals coming? Yes, Doc, I'm saying that did you foresee the panic, or did you envisage that
Your
something...
voice is a bit low. Can you call me back?
Okay, so we'll try and fix our lines and get Dr. Mensah back on the line, because he also has some interesting perspectives into the matter. I was very happy that you mentioned the minimum capital requirement, and we know that recently Bank of Ghana raised it from the 120 to 400, and which also has led to many people, many banks not being able to meet that requirement. But the question then remains, is this the panacea to the banking crisis? Because there are those who feel that there is a lot more that the Bank of Ghana needs to do, not only this minimum capital requirement.
Well, I have a different perception of this whole minimum capital requirement, because I have studied other countries and have seen how these countries apply, the call for minimum capital requirement, or the capitalization of banks, where in those countries you could see that every bank has its own objective, core objective, and mandate to serve its client. So most these banks do not have the same objective. So what I was expecting, and what I've realized in these countries, that banks are tiered, banks are tiered and giving varying minimum capital required, So you could see that we have banks that focus is only on SMEs, So such banks, if you give them a higher, or peg them as against banks that do big volume trade, businesses, you might have, or there's a high tendency that they can't meet the value that you've placed as a minimum, or the capital that you're requiring for them. So you tier them, tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, and based on the objective or the target market or the whole objective of the bank, all right, you give them values or capital to meet. So I think that, in the past, where foreign banks, it's happened in this country before, where foreign banks were giving a period of time, to meet the minimum capital requirement, whilst the local banks were also given an extended period of time. To meet the capital. Things have changed because of some new policies that we have put ourselves in. Now, so if things have changed, I guess that we still do not have, some banks are not that strong enough, to be able to meet those capital. So we tier them and give them value, that capital that they could meet, so that they can also do some of the things that they do. Because look, this is a country where we always talk about the fact that we still have a low financial penetration levels. We still have an unbanked population that is very high. How do we encourage people to now start using the banking, and perhaps even using the financial services that a lot more innovation that come within the banking sector, where there's a lot of new products that people can enjoy to better their lives. So why do we now restrict it, and then make those people unable to enjoy these financial services, which hitherto, they've been rejected. They've been taken out of the system for a long. For example, insurance. Now most banks are having bank assurance, where now people in the rural setup can enjoy some level of insurance. okay, through the bank assurance product that has been, developed. Right. I mean, that's a brilliant thing that has happened. But if we restrict it, we restrict it to the very high-level banks, the tier 1 banks. The tier 2, the tier 3 banks are the ones that will offer these services. The tier 1 banks are looking at big volume, trades and businesses to do, and they would not offer such a thing to the rural folks. Okay, so we need to ensure that whatever we do, it is favoring the masses. Okay, because already there's a perception about banking. Okay, people now, when I listen to your news item, a lot more people were talking about the fact that, well, if these banks are not safe, why don't I go pick my money and put it in my house?
In my house.
You know the risk implication of pushing the money to your house.
Yeah.
Okay, you are creating opportunity for something very untoward to happen.
Definitely.
All right. So we should be able to stop. We should be able to help. And I think that what Dr. Indum is doing is he is showing leadership. I'm sure that if we can get other leaders within the banking sector to also join and then speak to the issue of the panic withdrawals.
Let's look at reforms in the banking sector. Of course, lately there's been concerns about the Banking Act itself. I'm talking about the Banks and Specialized Deposits Taking Institutions Act 2016, Act 930. And some are calling for amendments to include businesses that hitherto or probably were not included in the banking sector. At least when this Men's Gold saga came up, that was one of the issues that came up. There are also calls for it to be tightened up to deal with certain issues. I remember people called for that when the crisis itself, when the 5 banks were consolidated and all of that. For you, what kind of reforms do we need in the banking sector so that we can avert some of these crises?
Well, it's critical question you've asked, in the sense that a lot more comments have come, especially even from the rural banks, on how they've been treated, okay, with the new banking reforms that is going on. A lot more people have raised question on the constitution of the board and the committees and the people that form the committees, right, are forming the committees. A lot more questions have been raised. But you see, like I said earlier on, I think that for this country, whatever we want to achieve as a country, we will need a very vibrant and a strong banking sector. The reforms that are ongoing within the banking sector is good. I think it is positive. It was a good idea to do the AQR. It was good. It gave us insight as to really what was going on within the banking sector. Some of us came strongly against some act of indiscipline, okay, and the poor corporate governance that was happening within the banking sector. We spoke strongly against it. Okay, because if that should continue, we would not have whatever, strength or capacity, to be able to do stronger and bigger businesses within the country. As Ghana has moved into an oil producing country at the moment,
exactly.
Okay? So you need a stronger bank to support it. Yeah. Okay, we want to grow our cocoa, we want to enter into agriculture, want to enter into and then the president talked about, so many policies that they want. You need a stronger bank, a banking sector to support all that. All right? So it is very important that any reform should be targeted at strengthening the banking sector. Creating credit in the country, or creating, when we talk about credit, it's the banks that create credit. Okay, it's the bank that creates money. Okay, so if we do not have a reform that is targeted at ensuring that we have stronger banks, and let me state this, that indeed we also need not only strong banks, but we need banks that have a focus, okay, on supporting the small, medium businesses. Okay, we need banks that focus on supporting agriculture. We need banks that will focus on, let's say, the real estate business, all right? And we need banks that will support. Even I mean, I'm sure as we move on to the service industry, we need banks that will really support the service and technology. Okay, so we need stronger banks to support several sectors of the economy so that we can achieve whatever objective in terms of growth or development that we want to achieve. But if our reforms start on this tangent, where we will have a whole country panicking, I think that we need to regroup and then come again, and then maybe make it more relaxed and then communicate. One of the things that I'm sure we need to talk about is the engagement of stakeholders within the industry. Okay, yes.
You think they've not been engaged
Yes,
enough?
I think so, because yes, they are regulators, okay, but I think that there should be some level of continuous engagement, okay, of stakeholders within the industry to ensure that there is, continuous flow of information and cordiality in the objective, okay, the clear objective that they want to achieve.
Okay.
All right, there should be that transparency.
Yeah.
Okay, so that we can achieve whatever we want to achieve. But if the regulator, well, of course, I always have an opinion that regulators, yes, sometimes seem or act like police people. They come in with the cane and wanting to whip everybody. But there should be some engagement. Okay. Okay, so that we can support the sector in which that we are regulating to succeed.
Okay. So continuous stakeholder engagement in the banking sector. Reforms must also target to ensure stronger banks, and we also need banks that will delve into SMEs, agri, real estate, and what have you, are some of the reforms that he suggests we should have in the banking sector. We take a break. When we come back, we're looking at whether we're going to be having more of these panic withdrawals. How do we save the banks from here? We are right back. Welcome back to PM Express. We've been discussing panic withdrawals and how it's affecting the banks, and we've also been talking about how Bank of Ghana needs to come in to assure customers or assure the public of security. Let me go straight to the phone line. We're having challenges with Skype, so Dr. Lord Mensah joins us back on phone. Dr. Lord Mensah is a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. Good evening to you, Dr. Lord Mensah. Grateful for your time.
Yeah, good evening, Aisha, and good evening to our viewers.
So, Doc, my question is, we've all been worried about this banking crisis and the fact that Bank of Ghana could have done more or better than what we've seen. Did you envisage or did you foresee these panic withdrawals?
Oh, yes, Aisha, I foresaw it coming. I kept on highlighting on the fact that you see the financial services and financial products, and let me put it in the investment world, thrives on information. Now, if you don't manage information very well, you can trigger, panic withdrawal, and that is exactly what has happened. Now, I indicated earlier that the way and manner Bank of Ghana has been releasing, the so-called defunct banks, bits and pieces, in itself is risky. So more or less creating panic in the system. Because if you come out, on a day and then come and announce all the takeovers, all the minimum capital requirements, some banks not meeting the minimum capital requirements and all those once, at a time. And this information goes to the public once. And then give an assurance to support it. I think wouldn't have been where we find ourselves now. Now, we keep on having issues upon issues upon issues, day in and day out, and nobody knows which bank is going to go next as we speak now, or which microfinance institution is going to go next. And there seems to be like information concentration, highly concentrated at the regulator level, for which the public seems to be panicking. The public is at the blind side of what is happening at the banking halls, and then the what do you call it, the savings and loans, and then all those deposit-taking institutions. So when it happens like that, the depositor wants to be sure of himself. So obviously, that depositor will be better off keeping his money rather than trying to invest in an institution where they haven't got much information. So
but
the
look,
market
since this whole
basically on information. So if it happens like that, obviously, it will trigger panic withdrawal.
Since this whole banking crisis saga, I've seen Bank of Ghana issue some few statements of assurance. You think it's not enough?
Aisha, I can't. Your voice is a bit down.
I'm saying that I have at least seen the Bank of Ghana issue some statements assuring the public. You think that's not enough?
That is not enough. I think the harm has already been done. Looking at the length at which the depositor had to wait for this assurance to come, I believe that Bank of Ghana could have done better. Than what they did, because first of all we had Beauty Bank and then Capital Bank take over by Merchant Bank, and then suddenly we heard the next time within a month or two we heard about Consolidated Bank being formed, and then all sorts of things. And as we speak now, we have several savings and loans institutions that are struggling, for which Bank of Ghana is not coming out clear to tell us exactly what is happening with these savings and loans institutions. So when it happens like that, the investor needs to process this kind of information to act on it. And by processing this information and acting on it, the investor sees that they don't have much information. So therefore they will be better off keeping their money. That is why possibly we have this panic withdrawal. I always suggest that. So information is the hottest commodity on every market. If you learn how to manage that information very well, you avoid all the possible risks on the market. Now, what's happening in the banking space, I was expecting that Bank of Ghana would do the background work, try to ensure that all the possible investigation goes on at the background, and in the end, come out once. And when they come out, they tell Ghanaians, this is what has been happening. In the end, this is the solution. We've ceded, management of this bank. We have merged this bank with that. We have allowed this bank to be taken over by the Bank of Ghana. It should have come out once. And once it comes out, the depositor gets to know this information. And then the Bank of Ghana will give an assurance on top of this, press release that I'm trying to put across here. Then that information coming out once, the investor will just process it and then use that as onto the market. But now as we speak, this comes today, the next time another one, the next time another one. Then you leave the market for speculation. Which bank is going to go next? Nobody knows. And that is why, obviously, we have this, panic withdrawal. And
Doc, there are fears. There are fears also that these panic withdrawals, if not controlled, will have an effect on the economy. What's the connection?
Of course. There's a serious connection here. The whole economy has to do with, people who have money and they want to invest, and people who don't have it and they want to take the money for production. They want to take the money for business. And trust me, the bank is just changing. So if somebody does not send his money to the bank, obviously nobody can get money to borrow from the bank. The bank's equity within its operation is very, very small. So at the end of the day, without the financial system or without the banking sector, possibly without the savings and loan sector, the economy won't grow. There's a strong connection between, how the bank operates and then the economic growth. Trust me, every pound that has to be channeled into the growth, of the economy, it has to go to the bank or the financial system for which the bank dominates. So there's a strong connection here, and as it happens like that, people withdrawing the money, it means the banks will have less to terminate, and therefore not enough funds to be available for distribution. And that is why it will have impact on the economy.
Finally, Doc, we've seen Dr. Indom himself today go around to meet his customers. In all of this, what role does the bank play in it? Does the bank have a say in trying to calm the nerves of its customers?
Well, I think the bank, it has to do with assurance, and that is exactly possibly Dr. Indom is doing. I mean, he's using all the possible means, and trust me, that what he's doing is more or less the last resort, for which you have to visit the customer and give the customer assurance that there's no need to withdraw your money. In the end, your money is safe with us. But trust me, I mean, there's no way you can convince a customer who has made up his mind. It has to do with information. Once the customer is not certain, obviously they will act on by withdrawing their funds, purposely keep them for themselves. And trust me, keeping it themselves, they think they will be safer without this kind of board of directors and all those management issues that is happening in the banking space.
All right, many thanks to you, Dr. Lord Mensah. We're extremely grateful for your time. He is a senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, and he's been enumerating the role or the things that Bank of Ghana needs to do to curtail the situation we find ourselves in. You've been doing a lot of research, Mr. Ampah, in this area. So you can tell us about whether we should expect more panic withdrawals or not. But first, I think we should also look at how this situation is affecting the banking sector. Then we can talk of whether we would have more of this coming.
I mean, the key role of bank is to mobilize deposits and then support, okay, give credit. Okay, so if there's a panic withdrawal, from customers on the banks will not have already we've heard that the banks this year, banks have recorded the lowest ever level of deposits, okay, within the banking sector. I mean, the people are not depositing at all in the bank, okay, and that is something that is very, very, very tricky, okay. So the banks will need your deposits, okay. What you do is that when you deposit the money in the bank does not put the money in a drawer or a vault. He also on-lends, okay? He gives it out so that somebody who is also starting a business or in a business need a little bit of loan, he can go to the bank and take it and work with it, and then it helps the whole economy. I mean, when you talk about GDP, yes. It's about your output, my output. Collectively, we contribute to the growth of the development of this economy. So you need a banking sector, a vibrant banking sector that has liquidity to meet the needs of the people. So what is going on, the effect on the banking sector is the banks cannot support, okay, you do the necessary support for the general economy, okay, and it will affect everybody. So we need to stop this.
Okay, are we going to see more of that?
I do think that what we are doing at the moment, what Dr. Papa Kwesindum is also doing at the moment, if we get other players, all the stakeholders to join and educate and inform. If we are lucky that tomorrow we wake up in the morning and the central bank has come out with a press statement or, hold a press conference to say that, look, Guardians, this thing that is happening, hold on to it, nothing is going to happen. We now are working towards a strong, vibrant banking sector. I'm sure that by this week, the whole panic thing will die out. Will die out. All that people want to hear is some level of confidence, because if you read the MPC report just released some few weeks ago, it is stated that the business and consumer confidence has gone low. Okay, people have lost confidence. All right, but we need to, confidence is built by doing some few things, all right, to ensure that do it properly, to build the confidence. And what is going on, the panic withdrawals, we just need someone to come and inform the people that, look, please hold on to this. Okay.
We're doing ABC.
We're doing A, B, C, D, and we're ensuring
you have
that you have that security with your money. That will really readily
will bring closure to this
bring the total
situation.
closure to this panic withdrawals.
So let's take another break on PM Express. When we come back, we're talking panic withdrawals. What can we do to reverse the situation? What does Bank of Ghana need to do urgently to save the situation? Welcome back to PM Express. We're talking panic withdrawal. How is it hurting the banks? How would it come back to hurt our economy? And with me in the studio has been Samuel Ampah, who is head of research at the Indum Group. Samuel, we've been talking about how to reverse the situation. Today, Dr. Indum took the first step. What else can we do to reverse the situation? Because we've already admitted that if nothing is done about it, we'll see more of that.
Yes, I think that we need to talk about it. The media needs to, be vociferous about it. Stakeholders should talk about it. Analysts, whoever is involved. I mean, whether you are within the banking sector or not, I'm sure we should talk about it. We should encourage the central bank to come out and talk about it. And then I think that we should also advise Ghanaians that it is not good. Or should we say that if 15 to 20% of customers of a bank rush one day to go to the bank to say, I want to take my money, you will collapse that bank. Well,
as a customer, I really don't care about what happens to the bank. I'm thinking about my money. So
of course, but the point is that the customer is going there because of some information that is not.
And I think it comes back to the fact that the Bank of Ghana has to come plays a huge role.
So we need to come out with information. We need to calm the nerves of the people. We need to give them something that will give them confidence that indeed the banking sector is strong, and therefore whatever has happened had to happen, and it has happened. Moving on. We have a very strong, vibrant banking sector. By December, we'll know that all our banks are strong. Those who need to merge, they've merged. Those who are going to be standalone, they are standing alone. And then they're moving on to move this economy forward.
Right, and so you, the customer, must be assured, and we need the Bank of Ghana to also come out to reassure us, because it's hard to come by money. So if you realize that your money is not in safe hands, you may take some steps to redeem your money. And that's how we wrap up on PM Express tonight. Many thanks to you, Samuel Ampah, head of research group Indum, and let me also say thank you to Dr. Lord Mensah, who joined us via phone, and thank you very much, you at home, for watching. We are back same time tomorrow to do it all over again. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Enjoy the rest of our programs.